Today we're going to be talking about my introduction to the Second Doctor. Back in the early 2000s, around about the time Doctor Who returned, a UK newspaper decided to release a set of promotional DVDs, each featuring the opening episode of a story from the first 5 classic Doctors. And for the Second Doctor, they went with the Faceless ones, which was my introduction to the Second Doctor, and here are my general thoughts on the story based solely off part 1, and how someone might perceive this story and era just going off this release. Now, the Faceless Ones is a story that starts off really strong and atmospheric. A Invasion of the Body Snatchers type story set within an airport is a pretty cool concept, though it is sadly let down by the explanation to everything going on in its last 2 parts. But otherwise, a decent story from the Troughton era. Just going off of part 1, it does a good job setting up a lot of the side characters that play a key part, like the Commandant and the antagonists who work for the mysterious Chameleon Tours. With regards to the 4 leads, this opening episode doesn't really give them that much to do, as for the first half they're mainly spent running around the airport trying to not get caught and don't have all that much dialogue. We do, however, get some nice moments in the second half that show off the relationship between the Second Doctor and Jamie, but otherwise Ben and Polly don't really have much to do here. I'm curious to know why they chose this particular story, as by this point the Tomb of the Cybermen and the Seeds of Death had been released on DVD by this point. It may have something to do with the fact that the first Doctor story they chose was from the Lost in Time box set, which had just recently come out, so maybe they just wanted to be practical and have them both from the same set. In terms of choosing stories based solely from the Lost in Time box set, I think they maybe should have gone with the Web of Fear instead, since it's probably a much more iconic and popular story, even when it was still missing. And not only does the Doctor and companions have a lot more to do in that story, it just has a more iconic monster, and I think would have made a bit more sense to show off the Troughton era's obsession with the Base Under Siege format, since it's definitely one of the most iconic and best examples of that type of story from this era. Overall, while a strange choice of stories to go for, in the case of just picking one story to introduce to the Second Doctor, it did do a good job at getting me interested in watching more Classic Who, so it definitely did its job alright for me. Did anyone else manage to get some of these promotional DVDs back in the day? And what were your thoughts on them? And tell me how you feel about the Faceless ones in general. Is there any other stories that you think would have been a better choice? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please support the channel by hitting subscribe, turning on notifications, liking and commenting, and you can find and follow me on Twitter here.